I do motorcycling stuff for work, and it's also for fun. But now I'm starting to find that editing is more fun than writing for me.
That is so funny.
Yeah, so I just because you get to express that creative outlet.
Yeah.
The
Hmm.
stress
Hmm.
release is the motorcycle riding, but my creativity that really makes my brain work in the way I want it to work is with the editing, and then doing this, like having a conversation and just kind of learning. Like I'm learning from you in how quite possibly maybe something could be an issue with my wife with writing, like the short and some of the issues that she might have, but she also won't tell me, you know.
It won't tell you?
Well, she won't tell me everything. Like it won't be like I'm having an issue with my U-turn or backing up. It's more so I want to do it myself, which is great.
Hmm.
But if
Hmm.
I ask somebody else, then I'll get an insight on that. And then vice versa. Like when I edit this, I'll learn like, oh, is that how I talk and I ask questions and stuff, and then I'll learn how to become better. So constantly doing this makes me better, and it's something that I really enjoy. So that's why I
Hmm.
wanted you on here, because I remember a long time ago, your videos that I shared, and it was about the review of, I believe it was the white and red bike you had at the time. I forgot which one it was, but you did a review on it. I shared it, and it was really
Oh, I
interesting.
thought you shared that one too.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I share quite a bit of people's
Aw,
stuff, if it's good, as long as it's good, as long as it's good.
that's such a compliment. Good.
But I wanted to do that so that, I mean, I learned something from it, whether it's a
Mhm.
little bit or a lot. I learned something from it, so I'm constantly doing that. So I want to learn more about your doodling. I want to learn more about your scuba diving and why you got into it and all that stuff. So it's pretty interesting. Pretty interesting.
Cool.
Because we kind of still
Cool.
have the same thing. You know, you got became single. I became single. We both got into motorcycling, so I could see
Mm-hmm.
how you wanted to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you like want to do the camp out though? Like, what got you? It's like, I'm going to do the camp out. What caused you to do
Mm-hmm.
that?
I think that was more for being around other girl riders. Um, and also I didn't know how much I disliked camping until after that weekend.
Okay.
um, but yeah, I mean, just it is. There's just so few girl riders around, and and if you can meet some of them, and especially if you can spend enough time around each other that you become friends, it's like just such a good friendship to have someone where you can share that with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Definitely. What are some of the? Why do you think that there's not a lot of women riders out there?
mm,
That's a tough one.
I'll have to think about it.
Okay. What are some of
I
the major
think
complaints though, like at the camp out? Like, because I'm all like, hey, tell me I'm the guy that wants to know what all the women were talking about. Type of, no, no, it's not. That's not
don't
it.
talk about boys.
No,
Okay.
no, it's
Actually,
like
we do.
I'm super interesting because my demographic that watches this, like my stuff, is 95% male. So I mean 5% women.
You know what's ridiculous? What's crazy is that's about my demographic too.
Really, I was
Yeah,
expecting maybe 50-50 or maybe 75, 25. Wow.
I know. Or I thought maybe at least 80-20 because I think the stats on women, male to women
Yeah.
ratio at least in the US is like 80
Yeah.
20.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so I don't know if you knew, but like before I was very focused on with my channel trying to make everything like look good and trying to make sure my hair and makeup was done and I had on like a spaghetti strap tank top, and then I realized I am not enjoying this. I am not enjoying my community. I'm just gonna be myself, and if I'm wearing a sweater, I'm gonna wear a sweater. If
Mm-hmm.
my hair is
Oh, I'm
greasy and in a
wearing a
ponytail,
hoodie, so I.
oh, that is so not flattering,
I'm
Dan.
sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I thought when I did that switch that I would get more girls, but
Mhm.
it actually went the opposite way. I got even higher percentage of males
Wow.
than women. Once I quit trying so hard with all that shallow stuff, it was, there were more of them.
So
Um,
the women, and I don't want to be. I'm all. See, this is the part where I'm like, man, what am I talking about? I have no idea about women riders. That's the thing, is I have zero clue,
mhm.
and I want to learn more because I want to know why it's only 80-20, roughly. Because this is not a sport or hobby or whatever you want to call it that's men only. I've seen some amazing women riders out there that just demolish men. So at the end of the day, it's a human thing. So I'm just trying to figure out why mine's only 95.5 when it's safety. It has nothing to do with men. Nothing to do with men. It's just safety. So
I think,
go ahead.
I think too, and part of it may be that if I remember correctly, that the viewership on YouTube in general is heavier men than women. I think that's right. But I think also why maybe there just aren't more women riders is because it's just newer for women to be doing what the boys do too.
Oh, okay.
like my parents' generation, it's so bizarre. Like it's even less women doing it. It's just what's not traditional or standard. With, at least I think about like my parents' generation. My parents are like 60 years old. For them, it was much more common for women to be in traditional roles.
Yeah.
And now it's with like people. I'm 30, so I think now it's like people like our age.
Yeah, I'm 32. Don't worry.
30 as well, or 32?
32.
32.
Oh yeah, 32. Yeah, okay. I get it.
So I think like with people like our age, it's more common for girls to be doing the kind of things that guys do as well. But it's still like just not as common.
Yeah. I've kind of noticed that.
Like I get called a tomboy for doing that. As opposed to it not even being something that you think about, or, like that you think, like girls don't get called something for like cooking or
that's true.
or shopping. So no one's like, oh, you're such a girly girl. Look at you in the kitchen.
Yeah.
You don't really
the
think
tomboy
about
thing. I never really thought of that. See, that's the thing is like my perspective and view is as a male, riding a motorcycle but also as a coach and I just want to understand, I just want to figure out, I want to learn. Like it's quite literally, I can't relate to what you do because you're a different person. But I'm just so curious about all these different reasons of why. And I just never really understood it. Never understood it. Cause anybody could do this. Anybody can do this. Yeah, I've noticed the older generation, like you said, they mainly sit on the back of the bike, and it's the man that rides. I have noticed that more women have got up and started to ride, especially with these bigger shows like the International Motorcycle Show with Progressive. They'll have like an intro to riding, and I've seen it's all women. Like it's just women doing it. Yeah. And I don't think they say no men can do it. I think they literally say anybody can do it, and it's mostly women. So I try to put two and two together. I'm trying to think of like, okay, well, why is that the case? But then when I do an MSF class, maybe 5 to 10% of it is women. So like what's the disconnect here? And I think a lot of it might have to do with it's more of like an open like area, and there's no real testing procedure. There's just have fun type of feel. And I'm trying to figure out if that's the driving motivation for women, because I know men are like, man, I want to go fast and I want to do stupid shit, just stuff like that. But then that's fun, but it's like there's a number attached to it or a step attached to it. And then when I see this, it's like, oh, we're just having fun. Okay, I'll do it. Screw it.
Yeah.
So like, I'm trying to figure that out. I don't know if that's clicking with you or anything. Like if that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I got our theories for you as to why it's not. And I think it's just because it's just not as common. It's not something you really think about. Like, I mean, I never really even thought about. It wasn't like I thought about riding motorcycles and then I said no. It was like I didn't think about it because I didn't see anyone else doing it that was a girl. I just wasn't around it.
Okay.
But then once I thought about it, and I couldn't stop thinking about it, and then I tried it, and then I was hooked.
Okay.
The thing is just we're just not around. A lot of girls aren't around it as much. It just
Like an
doesn't come up.
exposure type thing. Like
Yeah.
okay.
So
That makes some sense. Because I mean, you and I
yeah,
got into it for around the same like reasons. Like just I wanted
yeah,
to try it. You know, I'm
mm-hmm,
single now. Screw it, let's do it. And then
yeah,
it worked. So I mean,
mm-hmm.
I'm trying to figure out all these different. That's just my brain going. Sorry, I'm all taken over. I'm like, you know what? Why are women not doing this and that? At the end of the
No,
day,
I think the why is the most interesting part.
good.
Is
Okay, I'm
why
not
people.
bothering you then.
And too, on that note, is whenever I've talked to guys who ride, they often ask me, they want to know like specs. They want to know
Yeah. Okay.
what's your torque? How fast did you go on that track day?
I don't even know that, and they don't even know that. They're just saying that shit. No,
Oh, really?
nobody knows that. And if they
What?
do, it's because they read it from on the side. If it says R3, they're like, okay, that must be a 300. Okay, what's your? No, I'm talking out of my
Yeah,
ass.
that's hilarious. That's what I'm going to say next time someone asks me, how fast did you go on that track day? Or what's your torque? I'm going to say,
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you?
Do you know? Yeah.
Do you even know? But that's what I noticed guy conversations. And then whenever I've talked to girls about it, we often ask, like, how did you get into it?
See,
Why do you
yeah,
ride? Why do
yeah,
you love to ride?
yeah.
The,
So
the how why.
the feeling of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So please expand on that conversation you had at the camp out where I'm not supposed to hear because it's all girls only.
Oh, sorry, no boys
Oh,
allowed. No,
okay.
I'm just kidding. Which conversation? Not the girl.
No, just I'm sure you have those conversations with the other
Oh,
women. It's
ask another
like
girl.
why you got into it, and then the
Mm-hmm.
feeling of it. Because yeah, men are like what size engine is that? Like people ask me how many horsepower does my FTR have, and the only reason why I
Yeah.
know is because I've been asked that so many times that I looked it up afterwards. I'm like, okay,
Mm.
120, I guess,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, I have no clue what my torque is.
Yeah, so it really doesn't matter, and I bring
Mhm.
up for beginners because that's what I noticed too is beginners they want to get into it, but then they're so inundated with that information of like, do I have to know the CCs? What's this? And then I just tell people get on a bike, and if it feels good to you, there you go, and just
Yeah.
continue on. So maybe I need
Hmm.
to continue doing that because that's how I guess women react to it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see. But
Yeah.
one thing I did notice with Nikki when she was doing her thing, those videos would get comments from women saying they would run into the same issues, like for filling up the gas tank. I never thought that was a big issue until she asked me, and my wife asked me, she's like, how do I do it the right way? And it
Mhm.
just went over my head. It's like, I didn't know. I honestly
Oh
thought
yeah,
that
like
was a
not
normal
fill
thing.
gas on the tank.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
that was a whole thing for me to learn too.
yeah, so I never had that problem. I don't know why.
Oh,
I
oh.
I'm not saying it's
You
like because
knew to, like,
huh?
tip it and be careful. You just knew to like tip it and not to avoid the drip. You just knew.
I knew a lot of that stuff just maybe because of my work, as a firefighter and all that stuff, having to fill up as many cans and chainsaws as I had to.
Mm-hmm.
But I never really thought of that. And
Mm-hmm.
the comments on those videos were from women saying, I've been waiting for somebody to make this video, blah blah blah. And I'm like,
Oh,
what the heck?
what video? Which video are you talking
That
about?
was
First?
how to fill up your gas tank.
Oh,
And
that's
that
funny.
yeah, that was really weird. I
Yeah,
never thought of
I
that.
needed to learn that too. It was a struggle. I don't remember how. I think someone like told me, or I think I realized I kept spilling it all over my poor little tank. I
Is there
tried.
anything else that outside of
Any other struggles?
yeah, any other struggles that
Mm, yeah, I'm sure I can think of some. Yeah, I did learn like a good way to back up your bike. I was talking about earlier when how difficult that can be.
yeah.
Um, and I did learn a way. Cherry Bee on YouTube. She doesn't post videos anymore, but she had a really good one. About like short trips, short tricks and tips for riders. And one of the things she showed was how to back up your bike if you're short. And how to do it, like basically you get off the bike and you lean it against your hip
Uh-huh.
and then back it up that way. So that is how I back up my bike now on an incline when I can't do it sitting on it.
Okay.
So that was a struggle, the backing up the bike. Probably not a struggle, but just something that comes up a lot.
Mhm.
Are people asking you like, Do you ride with your boyfriend? Is it because your boyfriend rides?
I never see. That's the thing is I never get that question. Does my wife ride or anything?
No one asked you
Well,
if
not
you
the
ride for
boyfriend thing, but like nobody asked that. That's so weird.
Nobody's like, did your wife get you into riding?
Yeah. Nobody ever. See, that's.
Yeah.
I did not want this
Okay,
podcast to turn into like a male female gender thing, but
But it's kind of funny though.
it
to
is
talk about.
it is funny. It is funny, and I've probably drove the conversation that way because that's just something that I want to learn from others, and
Mhm.
you do have other unique traits outside of being a female. So I mean, that's why I brought up the doodling and the scuba diving, and then why you did all that
Thank
stuff,
you.
and that's what I'm interested in too. That's what I'm interested in too, and I learned from that.